Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of How to Use ChatGPT to help with your answers for GCSE English language. Today, we're going to focus on transactional writing, which, of course, is one of the huge mark earners in the whole exam, up to 40 marks. And we need to make sure that we're getting those. So, when it comes to transactional writing, unlike creative writing, where you're writing a completely fictional story or an opener to a piece, you can't really prepare for this one in terms of having a few great sentences to go, or even having a whole story you've memorized that you can make fit the brief, which is a really good strategy for creative writing. For transactional writing, you're meant to be writing non-fiction as kind of this pseudo expert that can provide some really good context, and you're expected to write often about things you have no knowledge about. And you're meant to be able to kind of present lies as truth, a little bit of kind of fake news there. So what I've got on the screen here is a prompt that you can put into ChatGPT that includes a fantastic framework for getting transactional writing up to a grade 9, and that is called the IPPPC plan or framework. And what that stands for is introduction. I've got it down here actually. Introduction, point paragraph 1, point paragraph 2, point paragraph 3, and conclusion. Okay, and if you need to pause here to read the screen, go ahead. But what I've said briefly is to include is make sure you're using the plan, make sure it's including various language and structure features, facts, figures, and stats, motive, language, direct address. Make sure the reader is engaged. Don't use American English, and make sure you're telling it exactly about you. Now, your context should change for you. If you speak English as a second language, it could be a good idea here for you to mention that. If you're looking to improve on a certain skill, or you're looking to improve a certain grade, let it know, because it can make sure it's tailored to you. I've then included a question brief. Now, these are really easy to come by. All you've got to do is ask your teacher for a few past papers, and you can copy and paste them in. Or you can go look for yourself. But they always look like this, and you can see our 3 points there, which relate to our point paragraph 1, 2, and 3. And it gives you a basic kind of brief there. Right, an article for a magazine about your most prized possessions. So what I did then is I pressed enter, and it's giving me my full plan. Introduction, and again, pause here if you need to, but it's giving me a suggestion of techniques. It's giving me some sample ideas and sentence structures, which you might like to incorporate. And when it comes to point paragraph 1, where it's focusing on engagement and personal, which is what you should always do, aim for the heart first. Moves into paragraph 2, where it engages the mind, building awareness, improving that trust, putting facts and figures in there, really useful. And again, in point paragraph 3, anticipate reader doubt, talk about why something is expensive or impressive here. It's really important. So again, here are some techniques you can use, which will be quite useful for you. And it comes down to conclusion at the end, which is quite valuable. So what I did then is I said, right, that's great, but how do I structure each paragraph? A lot of students struggle to write enough. Good rule of thumb is 3 pages long. Each paragraph should be half to 2/3 of a page of A4. Will, of course, depend on your handwriting size, so keep an eye on that, but that's a good rule of thumb. And it's giving you a sample formula, which I didn't even give it, which is quite useful. But it says, so it's topic, sentence, explanation, example, effect, and then technique. So looking at this, it's giving you a sample paragraph that you can use, and then giving you a few more tips of how to improve and expand. What you could do then is get it to produce an entire piece of work for you. Then you can reverse engineer. I always say, how are you going to get a higher grade if you don't know what a high grade even looks like? So get it to produce a high grade for you, and it's giving you an entire piece. Again, pause the video here, look down if you can, read it as we go, and you'll see some fantastic uses of language, of paragraphing, of direct address, questioning, and it's just wonderful. So use this method when you can. And you can go ahead after this and think about, okay, how can I, what other questions can I give it? You can ask it to expand on certain points. You can even get it to mark your work for you and say, what's good about this, what's bad. Don't forget, when you're kind of asking it to mark, don't, tell it to be a bit harsh on you. ChatGPT has a habit of being overly kind. Tell it off. Make sure it knows it can be a bit harsh to you, a bit more critical, and that works really well. So let's recap what we've done. We have looked Starting from the top, of course, we've looked at our initial prompt. We've told it a good framework, a question brief. We've looked at a plan you can follow. We've looked at an example paragraph structure, which is really useful. And we've also then looked at a sample answer you can then reverse engineer. So remember, learn to use AI or learn to use you. And don't forget, exams are coming. So start revising now.